Hi. When I was a teenager, I used to like the idea of fan films, and it was something that I was really interested in, and I came up with a lot of great ideas. So this is a mini series over the summer that I'm going to do that basically explains all of the fan films that I attempted to make with my friends and never succeeded. One of those fan films that I wanted to make was based on Small Soldiers, which was a 1998 Joe Dante film. And it really started more or less one evening when I was in 7th grade. I was watching my VHS copy of Small Soldiers and I thought, hey, let's make a Small Soldiers 2. So one weekend in 2007, I believe it was November, a friend of mine named Josh, he caught wind of me wanting to make this fan film, more or less. He said, what are you doing with all those Small Soldiers action figures and that VHS camera? And I said, I'm making my own Small Soldiers too. He said, can I help? I said, sure. So we started work on it, and it was really a weird idea. I more or less wrote a script for it in that weekend. The original script was kind of weird. Of course, it brought back a lot of the characters from the original movie. And honestly, today, the first idea or the first script was not good. It more or less involved a guy who was, he more or less took a Chip Hazard doll that was destroyed, and he was making off with it, got into a car wreck, and the microchip from the Chip Hazard doll infused into his brain and gave him the personality of Chip Hazard, or the memories of the Chip Hazard from the first movie. And that was absolutely a stupid idea. Of course, you know, I'm in 7th grade. Microchips were cool. So we attempted to film our first version of this script on that weekend. It was just hastily written. I mean, it was wrote in a notebook in probably a matter of, I don't know, 45 minutes on a dreary November day. And we had the action figures ready to roll, and we were going to use for the scene of the guy driving, and getting into the actual wreck in the fan film, we were using Hot Wheels, and the cause of the wreck was a dog, which we used a little rubber dog. Something you got out of one of those egg toys like you see at, any grocery store, mommy, look, can I have a quarter? Sure, you can have a quarter. One of those kind of deals, But, it just didn't work out. So the next weekend, I was like, hey, I want to redo this. And my friend was like, okay. So we didn't do anything that weekend. We came up with ideas, and then I spent the week after that brainstorming ideas. Of course, it was getting colder, so you couldn't really do a whole lot outside, so it just really didn't work out. But then my next idea was to completely go more serious with it. And as a 7th grader, and I look back at this was actually a pretty good idea for a sequel. So let me take a moment to tell you what the revised 7th grade version of Small Soldiers 2, The Return of Chip Hazard, was really about. So here's how it started out. And to be honest, it was really sophisticated for a 7th grader to write such a script. At least to me, looking back, it was really sophisticated. But it started out as more or less a corporate espionage story, kind of borrowing elements from the original version I wrote, except it didn't have a microchip being lodged in his brain and turning him basically into a human Chip Hazard. It involved a guy, he was an unnamed character. Like I said, this was wrote where there was no names yet. It was so early on, and we didn't even work on it very long. I think we worked on maybe this for, I don't know, probably a total of 4 weeks before we gave up. Basically all of November. It didn't even carry on into December. That's how how little we worked on it. But it more or less involved a corporate espionage story. I can't even talk. And it was about him taking the original remains of whatever was left of the Chip Hazard from the events of the first movie. They were being held in some kind of top secret facility or something, you know. And basically he gets away with them, and his goal is he wants to use the information for it to reverse engineer his own version of these dolls. See, if you've watched Small Soldiers, you'll recall at the end of the movie they were talking about using the dolls, giving them to a bunch of rebels or something down in South America, and they wanted to use them for military purposes. And this is more or less where that story goes. So he basically takes this chip from the original Chip Hazard. It has survived the EMP pulse, or well, he was put in a transformer, but he survives somehow. It's a movie, But anyway, the chip gets put into a new Chip Hazard-like doll. And let me remind you, I probably should have said this at the beginning, it takes place approximately 10 years after the original. So they take this chip and put it in a new one, and it ends up escaping this facility after they run several tests on him. And the guy is like, oh no, what have I done? We need to go find him. So then from there, we see the Chip Hazard doll go to the facility where the remaining of his former comrades is being held. He goes in, sneaks in, lets them out, reactivates them, or I should say reactivates them, lets them out, and they basically hightail it out of there, and they want revenge on basically Alan from the original movie. So then we pick up to Alan, who has graduated from college. He's married now to the Kirsten Dunst character. I can't even remember. It's been a long time since I've seen this movie. He's married to the Kirsten Dunst character, and they're happy, and he's taken over running his dad's toy shop, which after the first movie you don't think he'd do, because you would think he pretty much hates toys by that point. But he ends up taking it over, and basically from there it's about him living his life. Everything's good, and then he hears a news report about these toys that are they've stormed into a town, they've wreaked havoc. Basically another Joe Dante film, Gremlins, very Gremlin-like in nature. And basically he hears about this. So then we flash forward to where the Gorgonites are set free. I believe it was Yellowstone. Don't quote me on that. It might have been. Let me look that up. Yeah, it's Yellowstone. So, oh wait, no. Yosemite, I'm sorry. So, yeah, they let him go, and basically, the Gorgonites are, chilling out, living their life, thinking they're in Gorgon. And they stumble across a campsite who happens to have a little portable TV, and they see a news broadcast of what's going on. They see that these commando elites are getting closer to the town that Alan lived in. I believe it was somewhere in Ohio, Cleveland, Cincinnati, somewhere, I don't remember. And they basically are like, we have to go save Alan. So they end up finding a way to ship themselves to Alan. And that's really as far as I got with the script. I didn't really go any further beyond that. One can assume that they, or I always brainstormed myself thinking back on it. They made it to Alan. There was an epic battle between the remaining Gorgonites and the Commando Elites, and all was saved, and the Gorgonites go back to Yosemite Park and live out the remainder of their electronic lives. So that was one of our fan films that never got made. Now, it'd be cool to see a sequel like that, and it'd be cool to see a sequel in general. I heard that Disney actually owns the rights to Small Soldiers now. Not sure how that happened, but if you're listening, Disney, we really need a sequel. Like, we really need a sequel. And just don't give us one of, don't give us that last Jedi crap. Just please give us an actual, legitimate, good sequel to Small Soldiers. I don't know if you can have it done, but you need to. No reboots, no remakes. Just make a straight sequel to the original. Have it set 20 plus years later, and we, the fans, will watch it, and we will appreciate it because nostalgia. In our next episode, I will be talking about a fan film that I am very fond of, and it's based on Jurassic Park. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next episode.